Hi folks, welcome to my channel. My name is Chef Barbie. My channel's name is Chef Barbie Living with CRPS. CRPS stands for Chronic Regional Pain Syndrome. The type I have is a dystrophy, and it will eventually take over my body. Anyway, I live with chronic pain daily. There's never a moment, a minute, a millisecond that I am not in pain. I have to take painkillers, unfortunately, to deal with the pain, but I'm one of the smart ones. It's not overdoing. I take it when I need it, not as a prescription of every 8 hours, take this, period. The injury happened in 2016. So we're looking at almost 10 years now since the injury occurred. What happened was I was working and I stepped in a hole and put my right arm back, and these last 3 fingers bent over the back of my wrist and made a U shape like this. So these 3 fingers were down here. I stretched everything out from my shoulder all the way down, and they said that it's a permanent severe sprain. Anyway, since I was having so much pain, I went to a hand surgeon specialist in Colorado Springs. And he told me, after he looked at the MRI and did my exam, he comes back in the room and he takes my left hand in his hands. And he says, "Honey, I hate to tell you this, but you have chronic regional pain syndrome, otherwise known as CRPS. I said, "Well, what's that?" He says, "Well, the type you have will never go away." He says, "It's only going to take over the rest of your body." He says, "Anytime you get an injury, whether it's cutting your finger, stubbing your toe, breaking an arm," he says, "your pain level is going to be magnified, not by 10 or 100, but by thousands." He says, "You cannot ever have a surgery unless it's life-saving." That's how bad it is. He says, if you had to have surgery, any part that was touched, the nerve endings are going to pick up on this, and you're going to hurt worse than anybody hurts. I told him, I said, "Well, how can this be?" He says, "Well, the ulnar nerve, which runs down here, is the main nerve that's damaged. I've had to have blocks put in. They only work 36 hours, but nobody tells you that. You know, you think, oh, I'm going to get 6 weeks at least of eased up pain. Well, that's not what happens. It's not even 36. Anyway, I need to have a extremity stimulator. And what that is they put it at the base of the neck and they run it down to the nerve, where it's kind of like a pacemaker. It'll send out jolts, but it will strengthen the voltage, shock the nerve, so it's kind of like deadens it for a few minutes. Anyway, looking into that still. So, as for the daily aspects, which I'm going to document my life with CRPS. You're going to see me where I look bad. You're going to see where I look good. But I'll tell you one thing. I have gotten out of bed every day since my injury. I promised my mother that. And I told her, I said, "But that doesn't mean I'm not going to go crawl back in bed later." She says, "Well, do what you need to do." So that's where we stand right now. I'm on medications for it. I'll tell you the gruesome tales about going to physical therapy when I first heard it. And I'm going to edit so that I can show you pictures of the injury. I got to see if that can get approved off of YouTube, because it's a lot of bruising. I don't know If I can show that or not, I'll find out though. And also with this channel, I'm going to do what I can around the house. I will have cooking demonstrations. I've got plenty of people around here to eat. I have one son that stays here with me, and I have 3 neighbor kids upstairs. The daily life, some days is good and some days is really bad. I have a service dog. His name is Bailey. Y'all will be meeting him. I got him in 2018, the day I went and picked up my mom's ashes. And wasn't planning on getting a dog. I was wanting a service dog, but I wasn't doing it right then because I had too much going on. Well, I had a storm come up. I was in Durango at the time, but I lived in Silverton. So that's about a 50-mile drive up mountains. So I went to the Humane Society, which was across the street from where I had to be. And I went and had some dog therapy that day. And I get to the last cage, and there's this Labrador mix laying on the floor. And he stands up when he sees me. And then he sits down and just locks eyes with me. Well, the 2 puppies next to him in the other cage came back from their last walk for the evening. And they were whining and just scared to death, hugging each other. Well, Bailey saw that, and he reached his paws underneath the cage, and he touched both of them as to tell them, things will be fine. You're going to be all right. Don't worry about it. It'll all get better. And I turned around and asked the guy, I said, why is this dog on hold? He says, he was brought back because he was too mouthy. Well, Bailey was 4 months old. And all mammals are mouthy till the age of 3 usually, that we have daily contact with. Human babies, cats, dogs, etc. So I made a remark that I hope that they flag that account and that they'll never be able to have another animal. And so he said, that's a good idea. Anyway, I brought Bailey home. His name was Ram at the time. Ram, R-A-M. Okay. Well, I drive a Dodge Ram pickup truck, so that wasn't going to fly. So I named him Bailey. And I trained Bailey to be my service dog for sugar levels of type 2 diabetes. Then in June of 2023, June, I had to be put into a medically induced coma. Not going to get into that. The after effects of that, because it did hit my head, I had dizzy spells. Well, Bailey's taught himself how to pick up on my dizzy spells. He'll come and he'll lay in my lap, or he'll lay on my legs, or if I'm standing there, he'll give me an alert. And he has been a godsend. This dog is great. I trained him for sugar. Excuse me, that's him yawning in the background. And he's my lifesaver, which are always good to have something in your life that's your lifesaver like that. And he's my best buddy, of course. In this video, so like I said, I'm going to show daily living, be honest, truthful, and let y'all know what's going on. Because I'm not the only one that suffers through this. And there's not support groups for it. But I get up out of bed every day, like I said. Some days I just sit in my recliner and do nothing except video games on the phone. Oh, I didn't mention that when I did do this, right here, this is the metacarpal. I fractured that in 2 different spots. And let me tell you, that comes back up in just severe pains. I can't stand it when it does. The wrist is involved, the arm, the shoulder. I don't have, my rotator cuff is torn, detachments are in there. I can't have surgery. So that's another constant daily pain that I have. And it's just getting worse. That pain didn't happen exactly when the injury. I did have lightweight pain there from the shock of falling and the shoulder moving. And now it's gone to where you take my shoulder from here to about here, the shoulder blade area, and that's how it's progressed. It also affects my L4, L5 that I have ruptured, herniated, and protruding to the right. Last thing I'm going to say about this injury is that with the L4, L5, I do have an electronic wheelchair. I've been diagnosed also with vertigo. So I get dizzy spells. And some days, there's days where I really need the wheelchair. Doesn't happen every day, but thank God I do have it when I need it. Because if my son's gone at work and I have one of those days, I can take care of myself. I don't depend on anybody for most of my living. But I don't do grocery shopping unless somebody goes with me, unless I'm just picking up bread and milk, because I can handle that. But I can't handle reaching above my head. I can really do anything by lifting the shoulder now. And you gotta live, you know. I have a very close friend that I've had for over 40 years, and he keeps calling me and asking me to go to lunch with him or to get out of the house. Why don't we go get some ice cream? You know, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And I'm like, I don't feel like it today. That happened for 6 straight weeks. I was in that much pain. And the other day, Thursday, I believe it was, we went out to lunch. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I had him turn around. I said, you look at me right in the eyes. I said, I haven't been putting you off. He says, oh, I know that. I said, I have been in so much pain that I didn't want to bring down you. He says, well, you can talk to me about anything, and I understand your pain. You know, you've explained it. So anyway, this is my first video. More to follow. I will do lives now and then, but I will be getting up and cooking on and taping those and sharing that with you. But you're gonna get, like my channel says, Chef Barbie, living with CRPS. Y'all have a wonderful day and God bless. Thank you.